Morning, everybody. It's good to see everyone. I'm glad you are here on a beautiful, warm, hot July Sunday. So grateful for all of you. If you're just joining us, we've been in a conversation called the energetic exchange. And what we're talking about is a fierce prioritization of your well-being. Now, this is for those that are listening, this is part 4. But not even really part 1 because we haven't gotten to the actual series yet. But we're going to do our best to get to it next week because we're not going to get to it again this week. And part of that, maybe we'll get to some of it, but a part of that is, living in America in this particular moment in time is an experience in itself. And it would be foolish of me. It's hard for me as a pastor, as a teacher, to not address, where our country is and what's happening. And I think it's a part of my heart, desire, calling to speak things that need to be said sometimes. Now, all of that said, part of what brought this series into action, and the reason we haven't got to it yet, is because we've really just been answering a question which is a part of the series, and that is this. I kept asking many of you, like we do on Sundays, hey, how you doing? Like that, just a normal question. And many of you were just very honest. You would look at me and you'd be like, you'd shake my hand or hug me and you'd be like, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. I'm overwhelmed. I'm drained. I'm spent. I'm depleted. I'm burned out. These are the words we kept hearing. And I appreciate your honesty. And truthfully, I feel the same way. If we took a survey in here right now, like how many of you are exhausted? Most of you would probably raise your hand. Like I am. And there are many reasons why you're exhausted. Some of you have little humans you're raising. I'm told I don't have them, but I'm told that is a hard task. And some of you moms, my God, you haven't had a moment to yourself you can't remember. You cannot remember. And some of you dads, same. Some of you, like, all you do is you get up, you go to work, and it just feels like you're kind of in this hamster wheel. And it's like you go to work and you make this money, and then you never see the money to enjoy the money because all it's doing is going to pay a lifestyle that, quite frankly, you bought into because it was called the American dream. And then now that you're in it, you're like, this isn't really all it's cracked up to be. And now you have all this debt and you're stressed out. And then if that isn't enough, many of you are dealing with your own sicknesses, health issues, anxiety, panic. SSRIs, pills are at an all-time high because we don't even know, like we really don't know how to cope. Our bodies don't know what to do living in the world that we're living in. All of that, and if that isn't enough, a reality TV star is our president. Like this isn't a sitcom, people. This is truth. And this man is doing the most bizarre, and that's the only word I have right now, almost any given day. And it's causing all kinds of stress, from financial stress all the way to, my God, will my loved one be here tomorrow? This is a crazy moment of upheaval and chaos. Can we just say that? This is not normal. I just want to say, it isn't normal. And I can only base that on, I'm 44. Now, some of you have been here much longer and you're like, we can talk about other historical moments. But as 44 years of being here, I don't recall ever living in a moment like we're living in right now. It's chaos. Now, there are many reasons for that. First, that's what happens when you have someone who has the emotional maturity of a 5th grader running the country. You're going to have chaos, okay? Second, the other thing is it's like so much of what we're experiencing, we don't know how to process. We don't know what to do with it. And this is a part of what I hope this series can be for us. So as we get into it in the weeks to come, my hope is that you'll realize I don't want to spend all my time saying the reason we're exhausted is because of other people. You know what I mean? At some point, we're going to shift, and I want to start taking our own responsibility and ownership over why we might be exhausted. But before we get there, I'd like one more time, to just say there are other reasons why I am exhausted. And it isn't just because I'm not taking responsibility over my own well-being. We'll get to that. Part of it, too, is because what I'm seeing right now, I can't go to sleep on. I don't know about you, but I'm just going to be clear with you. I'm losing sleep. Why? I'm losing sleep because of all that is happening in the world around us right now. I'm losing sleep because these aren't just faceless statistics, but they're real people. One of the experiences that I have observed over time is that middle-class Americans, and that's the majority of people in this room, we are the ones who have more power and influence than we realize. I want to say that to you. I don't know who's tried to disempower you, to tell you that what you say doesn't matter, or that your posts and tweets don't matter. I want you to know you have a gift to give to the world. And you have more influence and more power to change our nation than you realize. The question is, are you speaking up? That's the fundamental question right now for middle-class America. Are you speaking up? Because here's what I know. Many of us are like, no. And here's the thing. I just don't want to get into all of it. That is a very privileged middle-class position to hold. I just don't want to get into all of it. Here's what I want to tell you. You're already into all of it. By saying I don't want to get into all of it is you getting into all of it. Because what you're doing is you're showing your cards. What you're doing is you're saying, I don't have to address it. I don't have to talk about it because it doesn't really affect me. And herein is the problem with what it means to be a Christian. Because when you read the Bible, what you realize is that it's not always about you, but it is also about you loving your neighbor. And this is the crux. And so what happens with middle-class America is we just begin to be, as we said last week, a little bit sedated because, truthfully, it kind of works for us. It does. There are some policies that are being passed that are going to make my bank account a little better. Yeah, there are some things being said that might actually help me. But here's the rub. It's all at the expense of the most vulnerable in our society. And that is deeply un-Christian. When the bottom 30% are the ones who suffer from the policies that are being made right now, that is un-Christian. So I have to make decisions, right? And this is where Christianity gets real raw. And this is where the rubber hits the road, as it said. Because then you have to make decisions. Do I care? Because we keep holding the banner, and you've been saying it, and I've been saying it. Oh, we're Christians. Well, then what if we started acting like Christians? I'm talking like first century Christians that actually took a lot of what they had and shared with the poor. I'm talking about first century Christians that actually walked into the heart of the empire and says, we will not worship the emperor. I'm talking about Christians that walked in and they suffered financially because they stayed true to their integrity in the way of Jesus. Yeah. Like that's the season, that's the moment that we are in. And so what you're starting to realize is just how serious people were and are about their understandings of who Jesus is. And this is where it's getting really complex. Because I grew up in a world where everybody's like, Jesus, Jesus, we love Jesus, take us to heaven. But now, it's like, okay, well, listen. If it came down to you having a bank account filled with money and being okay, or losing that money and following Jesus, which path are you going to go? And all of a sudden, it's like, well, I'm a Christian, I want to go to heaven, but I'm taking the money? And I'm confused, I'm disillusioned, and I'm perplexed because you all told me to take up my cross and follow him. And now all of a sudden, we got a cross here, and we're like, probably need to pick it up. Turns out it's your financial cross. Probably need to pick it up, but you're like, that's a little too far. We used to talk so much about people giving their lives and martyrs, and I'm like, oh, good God. In America, like it's now come down to, like you follow the way of Jesus or you follow the way of empire and Trump, and we're like, that's a little bit too hard. I think I'm good. It's like, what happened? Like, where did the wheels come off of this movement? Now, all of that said, if all of that isn't exhausting enough, you just cut on the news and things happen. Now, what I want to do today, I want to share one thing of why I'm exhausted again this week. And this is a lament. This is a part of the series. It's a lament. It's us just acknowledging together that I'm not just seeing this alone. You know what I mean? Are you seeing this too? Right? I think that's really helpful with fatigue, is to gather in a room and be like, hey, anybody else see this? You know what I'm talking about? Am I alone here? So we talk about that. And then I want to share a story of something that happened to me and Katie this week. And I want to share it to you. It has nothing at first to do with the story I'm going to share before it. But when I get into it, I went for a run and started seeing so many metaphors, and I was like, God, I just feel like we have to talk about that because there's so many metaphors about where we're at. All right. And then I'm going to share one Bible verse because some of you are like, I need the Bible. All right. I'm going to give you one Bible verse. It's coming. We joke around here. Many of you know we just spent 19 weeks in the book of Revelation. All right. So we love the Bible. But occasionally I'll take a Sunday because, as Thomas Aquinas said, I believe all truth is God's truth. All right. So if it's true, I want to share it regardless of where it came from. Now, all of that said, let me share with you, first of all, something that transpired this week, and then I'll get into something that happened to Katie now, okay? First, a story this week. This week, the Department of Homeland Security released a video of border agents hunting down immigrants. And the video was like border agents jumping on a helicopter, rising up. I won't show it to you because I don't want it to get any more clicks or hits. Rises up, flies over. There's night vision, and they zero in on some immigrants hiding behind a tree. Meanwhile, while all of that's going on, it's a hype video, right? They're trying to recruit more people to join in, right? While all that's going on, the video opens with a narrator, and the narrator begins to quote Isaiah chapter 6. No problem with the Homeland Security video. When you brought in Isaiah, I have a problem. All right? And part of the problem is what we keep seeing again and again and again in the time that we live right now. And it is a group of people doing egregious things, and then they keep trying to take the name of Christ and slap it over the top of it. And as long as they keep doing that, we have to keep gathering and saying, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see what they did? Do you see what they're doing? I want to expose it in the spirit of the prophet of John of Patmos in Revelation. I want to pull back the curtain, and I want you to see what it is. And so the Department of Homeland Security releases this video, and there's these border agents, and they're hunting down immigrants. And then the narrator comes on, and he begins to quote Isaiah chapter 6. Quote, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me." As a theologian, I was nauseous. Now, this is not the first time American military has used Bible verses. This is not the first time that militaries anywhere have tried to use Bible verses or the name of Christ. Okay? This goes way back. In fact, you can go back to the Old Testament and you can find Joshua and his crew going into the land of Canaan, slaughtering all the Canaanites, and at the end of it, they give glory to God. Yes, so let me pause here and say, for those of you that are like, there's nothing wrong with it, it's in the Bible. Okay? You are correct. Genocide is in the Bible. But I want to tell you something, it's still wrong. Okay? Another thing that I want to, because we come from a world where the Bible has all the authority. Okay? That's what good conservative Christians taught us. The Bible is the authority. Whatever the Bible says, we do. Speaker Johnson, he is a conservative. Whatever the Bible says, that is the fundamental truth. Okay, great. I just want to say a couple things. Genocide is in the Bible, and it doesn't make it right. Slavery is in the Bible, and it doesn't make it right. Do you understand just because it's in the Bible doesn't mean it's right? There are lots of things in the Bible that are wrong. I know. Now we should pause there and we should dismiss. Because for many of us, that's a profound thought that there are things in the Bible that aren't morally right. Yes. Yes. And so, for many people, they see that and they say, well, I don't see a problem. What I want to do is I just want to pull back the veil just a little bit to show you. From Joshua all the way forward. Now, one pivotal moment, which we've talked about briefly around here, is in 312 Common Era. In 312 Common Era, you had an emperor named Constantine. Constantine had an experience or a dream where he was told to place the first two Greek letters of Christ on all of their shields and all of their banners. He was also told that if he placed these first two Greek letters of Christ and the words Alpha and Omega on all of this, that when they went out to war, if he would do that, they would have victory over all their enemies. And so they did. And many say it was in 312 that you had the merging of empire and Christianity. Some scholars argue the origins of Christian nationalism began with Constantine. That it was in this moment that empire and Christianity began to get in bed with each other, and they haven't gotten out of the bed since. They both merged together in that moment. We will go out and we will kill our enemies, and we'll do it all in the name of our God. That's problematic for many reasons. Now, all of that said, you might be saying, so why? That's what I kept asking. Why would Homeland Security, whom, by the way, does some pretty nice things? So there's a catch here. I want security in my home. How about you? It's lovely. I want a little Homeland Security, right? There's a cut here. So I want you to feel the nuance of it, right? But also, why would you make a video and then quote the prophet Isaiah? I have thoughts. I'd like to give you just two of them. One, I believe the empire, like America, which is an empire, uses religious language, Bible verses, Isaiah, whatever, to convince people that the work they are doing is the work of the Lord. Okay? So on a very basic level, without reading too much into it, what they're saying with that video is, come join Homeland Security because the work we do is the work of the Lord. So any good young Christians who've been raised in America in the evangelical world be like, oh, I want to go join the Lord's army. And turns out we were conditioned really early to join the Lord's army. Because in Vacation Bible School, I stood up going, I'm in the Lord's army. So immediately I'm like, yeah, I'm in the Lord. Oh, this is the Lord's army. So we're going to go out and do all these things, and this is the side of the Lord. Yeah. I'd like to take it a step further. The empire uses religious language and Bible verses to convince people not only that this is the work of the Lord, but to convince people and themselves that what they are doing is righteous, holy, and a sacred endeavor. But I would like to say, the empire using religious language over terrorizing immigrants is using God's name in vain. The empire uses religious language to convince people that this egregious militaristic immigration enforcement is the work of the Lord. And what I want to say to you is, it might very well be the antithesis to everything the Bible teaches us about immigrants. And so when you have conversations about the Antichrist, I want you to know it's not a person. No one's coming to give you a stamp on your forehead. Take a breath. You're good. Get whatever tattoo you want. You're fine. You're fine. The Antichrist, as a movement, as a spirit, will always disguise itself in noble endeavors. I would also just like to say, you don't have to have a Master's of Divinity to recognize they're slaughtering the book of Isaiah. Just simply read the text before and the text after, and what you'll find is God was sending Isaiah in this text not to terrorize immigrants, arrest them, tear them from their families, and deport them. That is not the context of Isaiah. God was not like, who will go for us? We need to get all these people who don't look like us out of Israel. So who will have the bravery? And then there's always some white American like, I'll go, God. Send me. Because we have a savior complex. And I think a part of that is to make up for the fact that we killed so many people generations ago. We got to make up. This is our form of reparation. If we can just save the world, and it's so on par with Trump, save something that you broke. We can save the world. And what I would like to say as a white male, I would just like to say, hey, take a breath. Take a breath. You're not the savior of the world. In fact, largely because of the supremacy of the color of your skin, we've created most of the problems of the world. But here we are. I'll go. Send me. And Isaiah is not in this moment going, yeah, put a badge on my arm that says, whatever, Babylon or Assyria or Israel. No, he's not going out there to do everything that this Homeland Security is showing in this video. So immediately you can just look at it and say, oh my God, this is slaughtering this text. So the question is, well, what was Isaiah doing? And the more I looked into it, the more I realized you can't make this up. It is literally the opposite of everything they're showing in the video. Isaiah was called by God to send a message to the people and the leaders of the nation. And what was the message? You know it. We shared a little bit last week. Here's the message in a nutshell. There will be consequences to not taking care of the most vulnerable among you. Can you believe this? That was the verse they chose. Let's take that verse. I mean, there's a lot of verses they could have used. They could have gone to Joshua. They could have gone to Judges. There's a lot in Judges. They could have gone to Psalms. Psalms like, take the baby's head and bash him against the rocks. Sorry, if you're in here, you're young. Welcome to Vinings Lake. We have rated R sermons around here, all right? We love our violence. Take babies, bash them against the rocks. Right? You could have taken 1,000 verses to bolster your materialistic, militaristic drive. There are thousands of verses. But you chose the very one that is the opposite of everything you are doing. You can't make it up. That's what happens when you have people using the Bible that they have no idea what they're actually using. And so the message that Isaiah was going, send me, was to tell his people to turn, repent, change your mind. You've neglected those on the edges too long. And Isaiah was just saying, if you keep turning your back on the homeless, on the immigrant, on the poor, and on the vulnerable, there will be consequences. And if you don't believe that, Isaiah 1:16 sums it up. Wash yourselves. We read it last week. Make yourselves clean. Remove evil deeds from before my eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Rescue the oppressed. Defend the orphan. And plead for the widow. So I pause there. I want to transition to another story that happened. Are we okay? There are no sermons anymore around here. We're just free falling. It's great. That was this week, Thursday of this week. So I'm a pastor. My field of spirituality and theology. And I'm like, I was literally like, oh my God, we made it through a week. I'm going to get to a sermon. I don't have to address anything. And then the Homeland Security, they weren't even on my bingo card. They're like, let's push this one out. And I'm just like, and you don't have to, but I get to pick and choose. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we need to talk about it. Because for too long, the American military are doing what all militaries do. And here's the thing. They're trying to convince you of one thing, and that is that the American empire and the kingdom of God are one and the same. And they're not. I love America. I love this country. It's why I critique it. But I want you to know there is a large distinction between America and the kingdom of God. And to merge those together and act like they're one and the same is blaspheme. Blaspheme. No. That was Thursday. I was going to bed. It was 11 p.m. That's my cutoff latest moment to go to bed. Katie knows. If I had my preference, I go to bed at roughly 9:30. I require lots of sleep, okay? If I don't have it, I don't play good golf the next day. And also, I'm just not really fun to be around. So I require a lot of sleep. Katie, on the other hand, she can live off of 3 or 4 hours. She's good. Doesn't matter. She wakes up just bubbly. It's great. We've been married 22 years. I love it. We've learned now. She wakes up that way. She can go downstairs and be bubbly. I need a couple hours. Do you know what I mean? Like to get my body going and to wake up. And I went to bed. Did my thing. Brushing the teeth, all the stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I'm in like end zone. My body, my fight or flight is down. I'm in rest digest in full relaxation mode. Felt great. And I literally remember telling Katie, oh my God, I'm going to sleep so good tonight. You ever said something like, I'm going to sleep so good tonight? I was tired. And I walked up to get in the bed and, I was doing my thing in the bathroom and literally I hear these like feet and I'm just like, what is that? And I just start hearing my wife scream. And I've been married 22 years. I've never heard anything like this before. And she's screaming. She's like, Cody, Cody, Cody. And she's running up the stairs and I can hear it getting closer and closer and closer. And I'm coming out of our closet bathroom area where there's a door. And so I haven't turned the corner yet. And I hear her and she's like, Cody, someone. And she's just hysterical. She can't breathe. I can immediately, as it gets closer and closer and closer, I'm like, oh, this is serious. My fight or flight went from straight up like, oh my God, I'm going to sleep so good to, and I mean within seconds. It's amazing how fast the body responds. And she runs up and she can't breathe. I've been married 22 years. I have never seen my wife like this ever. And I've seen her in some interesting situations where she's stayed calm. I've never seen her freak out. I will say this in hindsight. We can't afford in our marriage for the both of us to be. And the thing is, I already have dibs on it. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm the one who goes crazy. I'm the one who has a panic disorder. I'm the one who has anxiety, and I cannot afford for the both of us to be losing our minds, all right? So when she lost her mind, I got in a real interesting position because I'm like, nah, this is foreign to me, but apparently I'm the one who's supposed to stay calm right now, right? So she's just hysterically breathing, and before she busted through the door, I had created a scenario in my head because I heard footsteps. She was screaming, so I knew something was wrong. And I thought, because I heard her say, someone is, and then she stopped. And I go to open the door, and I had already played out a scenario in my head. Someone is in the house. Now, she didn't say in the house, but my body said in the house. So I immediately start going, where's my protection? Because I just want you to know this. This ain't much, all right? I'm just throwing that out there. Just going to throw that out there. All right? I'm not naive to it. I own it, and I love all of me. But my family, we weren't really raised to, how would you say, lift weights. You know what I mean? But here's what we all do in the family. We are great runners. You understand that? I run 6 miles a day, 15 on Fridays. I'm a marathon runner. And here's the thing. If someone breaks into my house, one thing I can bet on. I may not be able to defend here, but I will outrun anyone who's in that house. But I want to say something. When you're stuck because there's no exit from the closet to the bathroom, I was like, well, my greatest weapon of defense is now gone. I got nothing. I can't just run around the closet. Like, I got to defend. And so I start freaking out, and I just think the moment I'm going to open the door, there's going to be my wife and a man in the house. And then I got decisions to make. And I pop open the door, and to my surprise, there was no man, there was my wife, and she was weeping and crying, and she was trying to get the words out, but she was shaking, and she couldn't breathe. And so I looked at her, and I just said, all right, just look at me. Look at me for a second. Look, just breathe. Breathe. You're going to be fine. Breathe. Tell me what's happening. And first of all, I'd like to pause in hindsight and just say, I'm so proud of me. Okay? I am. And to anyone who's ever had to hold it together when someone in the family went crazy, I'm so proud of you. All right? Well done. And especially if you have anxiety and panic, they talk about faking it till you make it. Oh man, internally I was distraught, but I was like, I got to hold it together. Stay calm. Breathe. Talk to me. And then my wife begins to go into the story the best she can. She was about 2 minutes in, and I decide, and when I say 2 minutes, probably 10 seconds, I decide I need to call 911. And she says, Cody, my dad just called. There's an emergency. And, your heart, it's almost like the world inhales and then holds its breath in that moment. And you're waiting to hear what, there's been an accident, there's been a car accident, whatever. It's the worst case scenario that any of us don't want to experience. And she said, Dad, my dad called, and she said, there's an emergency. I said, what is it? What happened? And she said, someone has him. So what do you mean? Someone has a gun to his head. And I was like, what are you talking about? Someone called. Someone has Dad's phone. They called and they said they have a gun to his head. And I didn't think anything about it. I was just like, immediately call 911. So I got on the phone and I called 911, and I'm on the phone with 911, and I'm trying to like be there with Katie, and they're like, what's your emergency? And I'm like, here's what's happening. Someone called my wife from her dad's cell phone and said they have a gun to his head, and then to like tell everything he said, and they're like, where is he located? And I'm like, he's here. He lives in Powder Springs. And Katie's like, he's not there. He's in North Carolina at their grandfather's house. And I'm like, never mind, he's in North Carolina. And then I was like, oh, I got to dispatch you over here. So they dispatched me over there. So I'm like working through all this situation. And then Katie is, in the moment trying to calm down. And then she sends a message to our other family who we know that are with him. Turns out they're not answering. All right. Not a great moment to not answer the phone. All right. So we're navigating this, and I'm like, Katie, tell me again exactly what happened. Someone called Katie, it's 11:15 at night, and said, we have your dad. We have a gun to his head. And unless you give X amount of dollars, we're going to take care of him. And there's so much to say in hindsight, which I'll get to in a minute, which I think is quite funny. But we're not in the funny moment yet. I'm on the phone with 911, and they're like, we're dispatching somebody. They're on their way. Tell us all what happened. We're going through the details. In the meantime, my wife finally reaches my sister-in-law. Where are you? She's like, I'm at the house. Where's Dad? He went to sleep about an hour ago. He's in his bedroom. Are you sure he's alone? And then she begins to explain to my sister-in-law what's happening. I'm told I wasn't in that house, but I'm told my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law got the information. And I'm told my brother-in-law didn't get out of the bed. I'm told my sister-in-law had a baby on one arm and kicked down the bedroom door with baby in hand which I have a whole new respect for from the sister-in-law, but also a lot of sympathy for the brother-in-law, all right? Because if there's a man with a gun to the head, I don't know if I want to barge in the room. Like, what's the tactic here? You know what I mean? So she kicks down the door and literally cuts on the light, and they're asleep, like they're in the room. There's no man with a gun. Well, all of that's happening. I'm on the phone with 911, and they pull in, and I keep hearing my sister-in-law, and she's saying, everybody's fine, everybody's good. Like, where is his phone? I have my phone, he kept saying. I'm hearing them. Well, I'm the guy who isn't convinced, because I go a next step further going, oh, the gunman's held up everybody. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh, they're all in on the bit. So the gunman's like, you say this to him, and you make sure that. So I'm not convinced. I'm now 3 layers meta deep into this, going, oh, I can see it playing out in the house. I know how it's happening. All right, I get it all, right? And so the dispatch pulls up, and then we finally get on the phone with my father-in-law, and I'm like, are you okay? He's like, I am. And I was not convinced until I hear the officer. And turns out the officer that got called was a cousin to their family, which that's what happens in small towns. They're all related. And so they're all just laughing and having a good time together. Meanwhile, Katie and I are sitting there, and like the moment we realize they're okay, I can't explain to you what the body just has a way of releasing itself, but I mean, I just, like, tears, just weeping, Katie just weeping, and we both just sat there like, what just happened? So it turns out it's a thing called ID spoofing, all right? Some of you are probably already familiar with this. I tell you this story to help you as well, all right? I have had calls in the past. I've had text messages from people that says, you need to pay your toll. You follow the link, and it turns out you're giving money to somebody. I have had calls from Bank of America, all right, that says, we need you to do X, Y, and Z. And I mean, when I say calls from Bank of America, it says Bank of America on my caller ID, okay? I've had calls from many people who claim to be many things, but I have not one time in 44 years of existence ever seen a phone ring and it be somebody in your contacts list that says, like, for an example, Katie's phone, Dad. Same number, same image, same name, Dad. So if you don't know that apparently there are a group of people who can go into a little database and call you and then flip your phone to say something different, which I would just like to pause and also just say, God, if they're smart enough to do that, think of what they could do in the tech world, right? Like, it would just make your life easier, because that's a strenuous job. Plus, you're going to get in trouble. So what if you just, like, went to work to help everything Elon's messing up? That would be amazing, right? So apparently people go in, this is the thing they do, and then they flip their caller ID, and what they do, and this is what the officer told us, we have calls like this all the time. And they were like, fortunate for you, your wife was smart enough not to give money, because people lose thousands and thousands of dollars on these calls. Because they do it. They believe it. Why would you not? It's their phone. Some of them even go to the point where they'll have people screaming in the background that sounds like the voice of your people. This is a terrorizing moment. It's confusing. It's disorienting. It's like, is it true? Is it not true? And if you don't believe it's true and it is true, then how are you going to live with that? Right? Like, all of this is kind of floating around. Now, I want to talk about hindsight for just a minute and then get into the metaphor, and we're out of here, okay? Glad you came. Hindsight, we both laugh because we're like, man, that guy was an idiot. And the reason I say that is because this man calls and says, Venmo me X amount of dollars, and I'll release your dad. In hindsight, we wish we'd have paused and been like, my brother, you've called the wrong person. If you're going to Venmo, the man who the gun is to the head has far more money than his daughter, all right? I don't know how to explain this to you, but you got the wrong Venmo, all right? Second, you're in that moment, and There's so much happening that it just, like, energetically, it takes something out of you. Now, I know that some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you work in the field of trauma, so you've learned how to regulate it. But for someone who doesn't encounter a lot of that, um, it takes like a you can't see it, but there's like an energetic take. Now, this may sound strange to you, but for a couple of days, Katie and I have been walking around going, God, I'm exhausted. Right? No. Here's why I bring it up. Because the more I sat on that story, the more I realized, God, that's where we live right now. All we're trying to do is being like, hey, I just want to go to bed, get a little bit of sleep. Just give me maybe 8 hours, 6. I'll take 4. Just a little peace, a little quiet, a little sleep. And it's like all we're trying to do is just kind of just a little bit. But here's what's happening. Every day I wake up, someone's running through my house, metaphorically speaking. Going, oh my God, breaking news. Breaking news. Did you hear what happened? Did you? So if we're in this room and we're all exhausted, of course we're all exhausted. Do you see what's coming at us at the pace in which it's coming at us? No wonder our nervous systems are all out of whack. This is not normal. What we're seeing on day-to-day basis, it should spike up the nervous system. And most Americans right now are living most of their time in fight or flight mode. And we can't come down. Because it's like behind every bush, there's something scary. And I thought about it and I was like, God, that's where we're at. And then if that isn't enough, you got a man on the line who's posing to be something or somebody he's not. It's very confusing. I don't know if you can relate to this. It's really confusing living in America right now. Because we've got a man on the line who keeps saying one thing, but there's no truth to what he's saying. But yet he's calling with an interface that looks like truth. Hypothetical, let's just throw it out. Imagine Homeland Security dialing a number and the interface says Isaiah chapter 6. But it really isn't the interface of Isaiah chapter 6. It's actually might be 666, but it ain't Isaiah chapter 6, right? It's the opposite, but yet it's confusing because on first take you're going, that is his name, that is his number. It does all appear to be right, but it's fake. It's not really true. But do you know how exhausting it is to be in that moment and to having to weigh between what is true and what is not true? Does anyone know this story? Now, I know you're sitting here smiling going, young man, I'm a person of color. I know this truth. I want to pause here. That's part of the reason I want to do this series. Because I keep thinking to myself, here's what I keep going to bed thinking to myself. If I'm this tired, oh my God, how tired is the queer community? How tired are people of color who've been dealing with this stuff? And I just want to say thank you for giving us, like, white males grace. We're a little slow. I mean that. I speak on behalf of us. We're finally starting to wake up. Thank you. You knew something about spiral dynamics and growth and consciousness long before we did. You gave us a little bit of space. Now, I just want to say, we're finally waking up. We're finally waking up. And people all over the place are waking up. And they're going, this isn't right. And many of you have been going, welcome to the party. We've been saying this for a long time, right? Hey, you don't have to clap so loud, all right? No. Jeez. All right, no. All of that said, I just began to pick apart the metaphor. And then I realized, man, is there a way? Is there a way? Because here's what happened. All of it was all said and done, and at some point we both looked at each other and we were like, they're good. And I just held Katie and she held me. And we both just kind of held each other in that moment. And then we looked at each other and we're like, I guess we go to bed. Do you know how hard it is to fall asleep after something like that? And so we go to bed and we both just sit there. And after about an hour and a half, I kind of look over and I'm like, "You still awake?" He's like, "God, I can't sleep." Like, I can't either. And our little hearts are just like, "Boof, boof, 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 boof." And I'm like, at some point, the body would come down. Just give it time. Just keep resting. 3, 4 hours later. And then we get up the next morning. I was like, "How long did you sleep?" She's like, "Hour." I was like, "Solid. I got 45 minutes." Dragging all day. And it occurred to me that is the experience we're living in America. And then they expect you to get up in the morning and go work and be on your game. Be on it. And then come home and you got kids going, "We want food. We want food." And all of this while we're spinning on a rock at 67,000 miles per hour, floating in the air. And all of this, and we're like, "Hey, everybody, life is great." It's chaos. It's chaos. So my invitation to you is the invitation that I believe Jesus gives all of us. It's profound in many ways. And I'll just close here. It's found in the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28. It's one of the most profound statements that they've placed on the lips of Jesus. Because it is a full invitation when he says, "Come to me." Who is to come to him? I love these two phrases. All who are weary. And then not just weary, because some of you here are like, "God, I'm weary." Isn't that the word? That's the word. God, I feel it for all of you working so hard to fight for what's right. I feel it in my bones. I know it. Our church, our nation, so many of you are in the good fight. You're in the conflict, family conflict, and it's all so chaotic, and it's twisted, and religion's in the midst of it, and God's in the midst of it, and it feels so strange, and sometimes it's like, what is happening? And you're weary, and I just want you to know I see that weariness. And he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary." And then he says, "And all you who are carrying heavy burdens." God, those are the two categories, aren't they? All you who are weary from fighting this good fight, and then all you who are carrying heavy burdens. And I don't know all the burdens, but I know many of you in this room are carrying such heavy weight. And he gives a promise. I love this. "Come to me, all you who are weary, all who are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." Isn't that what we long for? God, we just want rest. Rest. So here's what I'd like for all of us to do. Metaphorically speaking, but if you want to literally, more power to you. Just get consent, okay? What helped Katie and I is when it was all said and done, and we realized we were okay, they were okay, we had survived the moment, we just held each other. And part of this series and a part of what I think Vinings Lake is here to do in this moment right now is to create a safe space where everyone who is weary and carrying heavy burdens can come into this room. And we can just hold each other. And somehow in the midst of that holding each other, there's an energetic exchange, if you will, where what you need, you can receive from me, and what I need, I can receive from you. Now, what I know is you may not have energy to give this morning. Great. What if it's possible to come, as Jesus says, to him? I don't know what that looks like. It could be through flesh and blood of someone sitting beside of you, or it may very well be you just getting alone and recognizing that the divine is present with you. And all it is reaching out and recognizing this truth. You don't have to carry that heavy burden by yourself. And this is why communities like this are so vital for all of us. I want you to know, hear me, we don't have to walk through this alone. You're not alone. You've never been alone. We are here, and we're going to walk through this together. And so right in the heart of your anxiety and your panic and your weariness and your heavy burdens that you're carrying, here's what I want you to know. There are people in this room who can help carry that load with you. And maybe the divine is present going, you don't have to carry it at all. Drop it right down here. I got it. I got it. Imagine living a little bit lighter today because we give up maybe something that we were never asked to carry to begin with. So this is my hope for you, all of you moms, all of you dads, all of you that are in, and here's the word, and I don't like the word, but here's the word, grind. I believe there's rest to be found, and I believe the invitation is open to you. So may this week you find rest. May somehow your weary soul find oxygen. And may you find extra inspiration. May you tap into it. And may you feel it in ways you've never felt it before. And may it spur you on to do greater things than you've ever done in your entire life. This is my hope for you, and this is my hope for our collective. Now, that said, next week we'll start the series. I'm so glad you came today. Vinings Lake, I love you. Peace be with you. We'll see you next Sunday.